What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Parker Chronicles podcast. I am your host, the Parker XP. And down there is one of the two nemesis we'll talk about today. My brother from the same mother, Nemesis Angel. And joining us for week 2 of many weeks to come for Resident Evil in review is our RE expert and the queen of horror games, PiggyWhisperRiine. Hey!
Yay. Here we are.
Every time I introduce Nemesis, he says nothing. So I am always like, does he hear me? Is there something wrong?
Hello.
What is going on? Oh, man. Wait, before we do that, just going to turn Nemesis up a little bit because it's... See, Nemesis, you said you questioned me last week. You said, oh, you listened to the show? And the reason I do is because then I pick up on, oh, why is Nemesis so low when he talks?
Am I low?
No. For me, on my side, it was like when I was listening back on last week's podcast, you were kind of low compared to me and Piggy. So I wanted to make sure you were kind of, even with us. So you weren't just like, sound like you were whispering. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show where we dissect, review, and rank your favorite film franchises, or just film franchises. Doesn't even have to be your favorite. Today, we are reviewing Resident Evil Apocalypse, or Resident Evil 2 Apocalypse, which that's what Google popped up when I typed it in. Boy, oh boy, another doozy in the Resident Evil saga, we should say. So we're going to go around the room as we always do and talk about what we thought of this glorious film. And we're going to start with our guest, as always, Piggy.
I have a lot of thoughts. I have so many more thoughts than I did even last week because I have a deep-seated love for the first Resident Evil movie. It's the only one that I've seen a lot, and so it's hard for me to really just be like, yeah, this part sucks. It's just strictly the CGI that really gets me. And like some of the scenes where they're just like panning around and stuff, it's just crazy. This movie brought all of that to a whole new disdain. It started off with the fact that they did CGI Jill's face. And especially when they zoom up real close, they try to like get her in like a turned angle, so you can't really tell that her face is is partially CGI'd. Because she didn't look enough like Jill, so they CGI'd her to look more like her. And I can't deal with that because I would rather have a good actress who's doing great instead of someone who looks like Jill. And like just leave their faces. Carlos didn't look anything like Carlos. Didn't look like him.
Which one was Carlos?
The doctor? Carlos is the main guy who survives.
Was that her partner?
Yeah.
The one who dies on the bridge?
No. So Peyton was the one that was her partner that got shot on the bridge by Nemesis.
Yeah.
Carlos is the STARS member who survives till the end of the movie. And he's in the car with them when they're like driving away. Lloyd, no idea who that guy is. Just a random dude.
LJ?
Yeah.
The most useless character? Like what's his actor's name? I think it's Michael Epps.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's been in like the Friday movies and stuff like Mike. Yeah, it's Mike Epps. Why was he in this movie?
I don't understand why he's in this movie. I have no idea who he is as a character. I have no idea what he was supposed to do. But that being said, outside of that, he was the best actor. He played his role. He did everything great. And he was
That's so
terrific
sad.
at the most useless thing that he was supposed to do, which was be there.
Sad. Fun fact before you continue. Fun fact, Snoop Dogg actually was supposed to play LJ, and then he ended up turning it down. So Mike Epps came in and took over.
I'm glad Snoop Dogg didn't, because that would just turn this whole franchise into a comedy. And it's already so bad it's laughable. So like LJ was the best acting character that I could find. Everybody else tried really, really hard to like be their characters, and it just didn't work. And the panning around, the slow-mo, the panning, the zip zop zoodle zoop zoop zoops with the camera.
That's so dizzy.
What was that? Say that again?
Zip zop zoodle zoop zoop zoops.
Oh, okay.
There was some parts of this movie where I was like, I'm getting dizzy right now. I don't know what the fuck is happening. These fight scenes, like, why do we have to jump 75 times? Just pan out a little bit and let them fight. Why do we have to cut 75 times? I can't see shit.
They spent all of their budget on CGI Will's face and getting this because they need to stay consistent with the first movie that had a nip shot. That's the only reason people have watched it every time. Jesus.
We made it through the entire movie without a nip, and they're like, here it is. And you're like, oh.
Here it is.
Okay.
This is what you get.
Is it in her contract that she has to show her nipple?
I'm almost certain that at least in this movie, it was part of the contract.
Oh my God.
And like, it is the most, you can see she was trying to hide it. And I'm fairly certain it was in the contract because of how they had it. Yeah. But so like, I was watching it, and there's like the part at the end where it's like pan over here, pan over there. Oh, action shot, slow-mo shot. And there's a part where the zombies are like walking up the stairs. And I was watching it, and I was like, yeah, this is great. And then all of a sudden, it's like a computer lagging because it can't keep up with the frame rate. And it's just like, damn, the frames per second just lagged real hard. And yikes. I was just like, what is that? Like, are they going to keep doing it for the rest of the zombies? No, they did it for a split second. Like, just like a 5-second thing. They were just like, frame rates are dropping. Everything's fine now. Like, there was no consistency in the fight scenes. And the fight scenes were so anticlimactic. That's why they had to have the zoom in, the zoom out, the slow motion, the panning over here, panning over here.
Yeah.
Like they didn't do anything. Yeah. And it's a whole other argument where they're just like, Nemesis is Matt. We have to love him. Yep. He's a good guy.
He saves Alice. Yay. Spoiler alert. Sorry. It's the end of the movie, but whatever. Whatever.
We don't have to do this podcast anymore.
Yeah, see you later, guys. Great show. Bye.
Good night.
I have completed all of the complaints, and we have spoiled the whole movie. So, So yeah, that's. I had a lot to think about with this one, and I was like, do I just hate the movie, or is it like everything just doesn't? Nothing for me met up properly. Nothing at all. And
there was no direction here. No direction.
No.
It was all over the place. Nemesis?
The end, where they're like, you're in a lab again. It's like,
oh.
Okay. Okay. Sure. We're back here. And why did he let her go? If the whole doctor's entire livelihood was to deal with her. He's just like, let her go. And like, just, okay. Okay, the entire company's life. And you're just like, let her go.
Corey, welcome in.
So yeah, those are my complaints. I know that was very extensive. It's just going to get worse from here on out, everybody.
Yep. Oh God. Corey Bear, Adam, he said, good to see Adam on cam again.
How you doing?
Every week he's on cam, at least once a week, as am I. What's streaming anymore? Nemesis, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was bad.
Right to the point.
I thought it was really bad. I can't say I enjoyed it at all. I don't know how it got a 6.2. I think you should subtract 3 and maybe divide by 2 after that. And I think we got the rating it should have got. I don't know. I think like I think like you said, I can't be too hard on the actors, but the story it's just trash. I mean, I didn't enjoy it at all. It's just a lot of like I felt like I was in a washing machine watching this movie. Like it's just it's crazy and not in a good way. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it dry like that. It was bad.
Corey, we are reviewing Resident Evil Apocalypse today. That is what we're doing.
And if you've watched it,
oh
don't.
boy.
Or if you haven't watched it, don't. I know what I'm saying.
All right. To be honest, I enjoyed this more than the first one. I don't know. I didn't hate myself watching this as much as the first one. The first one bored me. It really did. It just was too. It felt like not like Nemesis said last week. Like there was always a lot going on. It was like a million miles a minute. But for me, it kind of seemed a lot slower. This movie was. I mean, there was a lot going on, but.
See,
I mean, this movie sucks. I mean, this movie's bad. I'm not saying it was good, but I just enjoyed it slightly more than I enjoyed the first Resident Evil. But on that note, this movie's bad. This movie's bad, and we have 4 more weeks of these movies.
No, I have 3.
You rude. So rude. We're gonna make you watch it anyways. Whatever one you gotta skip, you're gonna watch.
He already did. He already did.
He's not gonna be
here. He's not gonna be here for next week's episode. He already watched it. So, but he can't talk about it. All right.
I didn't like that one either.
Spoilers.
Yeah, this movie's bad. Doesn't matter if I enjoyed it more than the first one. Oh god. Just you could tell this was a guy who has never directed before this movie. He had never directed a movie before. He was part of the Resident Evil franchise, but he is a camera operator. He pretty much was just a behind the scenes guy. It's kind of like a reference to when we reviewed Jaws. Jaws 3 was reviewed by a guy who it was his first time directing, and he was a guy who helped. He was a production designer. Like he didn't have, like why are you letting these people direct? They don't have those skills. I don't give a shit what you say. Stop it, because we get movies like this. Even though Paul W.S. Anderson didn't do much better. So yeah, this movie was directed by Alexander Witt, who is he's primarily a director of photography on a lot of things. But his only movie as of right now that he has directed is Resident Evil Apocalypse. He also directed a video short for a James Bond Land Rover commercial. And he is slated to direct another movie that at some point that was announced this year. Don't know what it is. Don't really care. Stop giving these people.
I'm not sure if I want to watch it because it's terrible, because I know it's going to be awful, or if I don't want to watch it.
No.
Like, I'm actually not sure, because it's one of those things where, like, it could just be like another Room movie where it's just so bad it's good.
Yeah.
But, because this was bad. This was... When you said that he's like not a director and like this was the first time he ever directed something, I was like, this should be his last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing Mila actually agreed with us. It says here that Mila Jovovich, I just butchered that, I think, but was disappointed by this film. She said the studio wanted more action and explosion, that the story was swept under the rug.
Yep.
Jaws 3. Literally Jaws 3. Oh.
I was looking it up because I was like looking at the cast and stuff like that. And Mila was extremely upset with what started happening in the movies, starting with this one. Because, like, much like the rest of us, the first one had a lot of the plot of the games. It wasn't great. They used a lot of action and stuff like that, and it didn't really tie in great with everything else that Resident Evil is. But it's a good movie. It was something that a lot of us have seen many times. And you know what? They did what they could, and it kind of worked out. And then this one, they were just like, yeet, with the story, just got rid of that. And we're like, we're going to have
The thing was, is this movie played out like a video game where it was kind of like go to point A, from point A to point B, and then you have your boss battles and mini boss battles as you go along. But then it's but it's a bad video game.
Yeah,
it's just
very,
bad.
It is very indicative of like it reminds me of the remake of Resident Evil 3. Like, it is just painfully linear. It is super easy to just be like, yep, this is what's gonna happen next. Oh, this is what's gonna happen next. And now this. And like I was watching it with other people and someone was like, I was going to be more surprised if like there's a little girl sitting there and like the reporter walks up to her. They were like,
Yeah.
I would be more surprised if that little girl isn't a zombie. And then like turns around and there she is, she's a zombie. And they're like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh
Amazing.
no.
That's so surprising.
This throwaway character no one gives a shit about dies. Oh no. God,
Now
why
they
did
would have had her live.
Yes.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
Would have much rather that. And the fact that they killed Nikolai, and Nikolai is a subordinate of Carlos, I was like, did you actually play the games? Because obviously not. Where Nikolai's like, what are we supposed to do to Carlos? And Carlos is like, we're supposed to go over here. We're supposed to get extracted. And it's like, Nikolai is higher ranked than him. Why is he asking Carlos? Oh, that's right, because Carlos was made into the main character. There's a lot of stuff that I really just am not pleased about.
Oh, all right. So Resident Evil Apocalypse was released September 10th, 2004, 2 weeks before my 13th birthday. It was budgeted at $45 million and made a worldwide box office of $129 million. So what does that mean? You hit the $100 million mark. We're getting another one, baby. This movie, again, like I said before, this movie was directed by Alexander Witt, and this is his only movie he's ever directed. He did commercials and he's done other things behind the scenes. But guess what? It was written by Paul W.S. Anderson, who is literally the man who tortured us for 14 years and keep making these movies. So the reason that he was attached, so he didn't direct this movie, but he was still the writer and he was a producer. So because of the failure of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, so Paul W.S. Anderson, well, at the time he was just going by Paul Anderson. He directed Mortal Kombat in 1995, which was actually successful, even though it was not a good movie. But then 2 years later, Mortal Kombat Annihilation came out. He had no part of it, and it was garbage. You want to talk about a really bad movie? Mortal Kombat Annihilation is one of the worst movies ever made. And so he went on record saying that how disappointed he was that he couldn't direct that and make it better than it was, because he takes a lot of pride in I guess in the games. He likes video games and he likes making video game movies. The problem is, what about Resident Evil? Because these aren't the games. You're just sprinkling shit that's in the games, and they're not the games. You're just like, well, here's Nemesis, like, cool, but it's still bad, man. You don't like. Ugh.
It says he opted out of this movie for directing because he was doing Alien versus Predator,
which wasn't terrible, but he's not a great director. Let's just say that, okay? He's not a great director, writer. Oof. I mean, to be honest, the Monster Hunter movie that came out last year did not get good reviews, and was not. It wasn't made compared to the source material. It was just, here's a bunch of monsters, and hey, my wife's in this movie because she needs to be. Again.
I feel like he just makes movies so his wife can be in them.
Yes, and don't get me wrong, I don't think she's terrible, but he doesn't give her very good scripts.
Mila is a great actress.
Yeah, she was in Dazed and Confused.
She is an absolutely phenomenal actress if she's given the right roles and the right tools to actually be in the role. But I feel like her little brother comes over and is like, yo, I'm playing this game. And then Mr. Anderson's just like, yeah,
Yep.
Mila needs to act in this. And it's like, you've never played it. You've never picked it up at all. You've never even watched somebody else play it. Like,
Yeah.
Got attacked
Attacked.
by a moth.
like it's because you're the light of
I
our
know.
lives.
Let's not
I need
forget,
another-
she was in The Fifth Element. Fantastic movie.
Yes.
And she was fantastic in it. It wasn't, you know, she can act. She just doesn't get the right stuff.
She is one of my favorite actresses. Usually when she's given a role outside of Mr. Anderson, he's phenomenal. There are very few movies where she's a bad actress in them when it doesn't include him. When it does include him, I feel like a lot of this is just like an okay honey situation.
Yeah.
Where like, because if I'm not mistaken, she also plays video games. And so I feel
probably.
I feel like Mr. Anderson's just like, I'm gonna do this thing because my wife showed a feigning interest in it. And she's like, okay, honey. And then he's like, no, you have to work in it now. She's like, well, it's a paycheck. Okay, honey. Like,
yeah. Well, the thing is that they weren't a couple when the first one was made. I think they actually got together after this movie came out, or the first movie came out, or even this one. I don't remember. I don't know when they became a couple. But she took the original role because her brother was a huge. We talked about it last week, but her brother was a huge Resident Evil fan. And she had gotten she got an audition for the movie, and she took it because of her brother. And then we get this, people are like, yes, we're getting Resident Evil movies because I don't know why it's so hard to take Resident Evil, the games, and just convert those into movies. They're pretty much movies themselves. Just add some things in there to make it.
When you're basing a movie off of a game from Sega Dreamcast, it's kind of difficult.
No, well, I'm not talking about graphics. I'm talking about the story. Like, there is a story there.
There's
lore. There's so much lore with the games.
It's hard to like actually get a good depiction on how the characters are supposed to act when they're like these blocky pixel people.
Video game movies are very hard. I feel like they really haven't nailed it. I think, to be honest, the Sonic movie is, in my opinion, one of the better video game movies they've made in the last 20 years, which is shocking because we almost got a terrible looking Sonic in that movie.
Yeah, and then literally the internet had to bully them.
Yep. Like, this looks like a terrifying rat. Let's not do that. So Sienna Guillory, I think I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so I apologize. Who she played Jill Valentine. She actually bought a PlayStation 1 console and a copy of the game to study Jill, the character from Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which this movie is slightly based on. And she based all of her movements by watching the way that Jill moved in the game. And of course, they had to put her in the same damn outfit. Why? You couldn't change that? Isn't that the outfit she wears in the game?
Yes.
The tube top with the fucking skirt. What a dumb outfit. All right, guys. Yep. It's literally like, it's like Lara Croft, but just worse. From the original. Oh my God. Queen! Welcome in. So this is actually the first the beginning of this movie, first time you ever hear the name Alice be spoken. The name Alice wasn't spoken in the first film. You only found out her name was Alice in the credits. But she starts recapping everything. And that's when she says, "My name is Alice."
Yay.
Yay.
Amazing.
So exciting.
Right? Isn't that just greatest?
Another gripe. Why do they say Raccoon City, Raccoon City? Raccoon. The fuck is that?
Because if they said raccoon, like
raccoon,
the animal, if they said it like the animal, they would give it the wrong implications, I guess. That it's just a cute little city filled with a bunch of screaming.
Do they say it like that in the games?
No.
I think the movie would have been better if there was actual raccoons.
It's just a city full of raccoons.
Yes.
Just rabid raccoons.
I'd take it. I'd 100%.
Oh man.
I think I enjoyed the movie Rubber more than this movie.
Did you watch that recently?
Well, no, but I mean, I'll take a killer tire over this any day.
I've never seen it.
It's bad.
Oh man. All right. Piggy, you got anything for facts or trivia or anything that you want to share before we get into the plot?
The dogs were far less CGI'd this time. Nemesis wasn't really CGI'd. The only time it was is when it zoomed in on his eyes. Or his eye.
You could tell it was like floating in there.
Yeah.
It did say sorry. I mean
No.
I had a before it leaves my brain, it said that the Nemesis suit, it was 60 pounds and the guy could only wear it up to like 15 minutes because he was scorching in there.
Yes, there was not a fan inside, and he also had to wear the boots with the giant platforms on the bottom.
You imagine like having to take that off every 15 minutes and then putting it back on, taking it off, put it back on. I would have went nuts. I
will say that I am very happy with the way that the Nemesis looked in this movie. They could have done a lot of things with the Nemesis, and instead they made it practical effects, and they gave him the proper clothing that he had in the third game. So the thing about Nemesis's clothing is it is specially designed to be non-flammable, and it's almost like a Kevlar. So it's supposed to actually protect him from bullets and stuff like that. You can't hurt him with fire because of his clothing, and also acid. Acid wasn't supposed to damage him nearly as bad because of his clothing. And so the fact that they kept it with his original trench coat with a very similar design, and they tried to embody all of that, is quite impressive that they actually even attempted to do that. Because, I don't know, the Nemesis, like, he is a fashion icon.
I strive to look like him.
Well, like when he first enters the movie and he walks up and there's all those stars people and that guy stands up with a sniper rifle and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "It's a goth club kid."
Just a very oversized one.
He's ready to party, man.
He's ready to go to the club, yo. So, but yeah.
No, he definitely looked good, but his Kevlar didn't do a very good job in the movie of stopping bullets.
No, they did not. They did not make it Kevlar-y when it came to that, because he was just like...
Yeah, it's just blood everywhere, but not that he cared, but...
No. So, but yeah, that is my biggest, like, glowing review of this, is the fact that Nemesis was actually really good. The fact that they used practical effects for him made him that much better.
Yeah.
The fact that they CGI'd a lot less in this movie made it a lot better.
And to be honest, I think the CG wasn't as bad in this one as the first one. Like the liquors in the church, they actually, I mean, they still didn't look great, but they looked better than the liquor from RE1.
Yeah.
Tim! Thanks for the 16-month resub, bud. Welcome in.
So yeah, the liquors, yeah, they did look a lot better. I'm glad that they had a very, very short stint in this game, in this movie, not this game. Because, yeah, the CGI was not the best, but it was a lot better. It looked like they were there. It didn't look like someone copied and pasted them and tried to use just like a smoothing tool on them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's my reviews. It has nothing to do with the second game. Like, there's absolutely nothing in this that makes any sense that goes with the second game in any way, shape, or form. The only thing is that they have to go pick up a little girl.
That's probably literally the only thing. Because there is one of the trivia is that they took elements from RE2 and RE3. But yeah, that's probably the only thing they took out of RE2.
Cue the fireworks.
So the trailer for this film was the most watched on the internet with 8.5 million downloads from November 2003 to May 2004. Whoa. Wild. Stars is the only word ever spoken by the Nemesis. It's also the only word he ever speaks in RE3. That's pretty cool. I like how they kept that consistent, sort of, I guess.
It's one word.
Consistency.
Like,
should that even go with the... Yeah. It literally, that's what it is. Stars.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Are we ready for the plot?
I think I'm feeling sick.
Wait. Can I guess it?
The plot?
Can I guess what the whole plot was? All of it?
The plot. Put it in air quotes. The plot.
You ever seen a trash can on fire?
It's just
Oh,
me.
man. So, we open up with a zoomed in look at an eye that has the umbrella logo in it. You find out, and then you hear Alice introducing herself, finally telling everybody what her name is. Because, I mean, you could have figured it out in the credits of the last movie, but this, she finally says her name. And she pretty much recaps all the events of the first movie, what her job was with Umbrella. And we figure out the cop's name is Matt, because in the last show, none of us knew what the cop's name was. Well, guess what? It's Matt, because she yells it a lot. Because they replay the final scene where they're like, put him in the Nemesis program, as he's got like the things spouting out of his arm. Then we get a throwback to is this like a flashback to before the virus, when they're like driving around picking up all the scientists, or is this like the outbreak has happened?
So it's right when the outbreak in Umbrella Corporation starts. So the way that it is it's like, let's say the Spence. Yeah, his name is Spence. When he goes and he throws the vial and it explodes and whatever, and he busts out of there. That moment, when all the doors start locking to the facility and the alarms go off, is when they go pick up the scientists.
Ah, okay.
Because shit was hitting the fan, and they were like, "Oh no!" Oops.
So we have a bunch of Umbrella scientists going to the hive. And there's this like really big door that opens, and a couple of them go in there, but all you get is an image of a computer screen that shows a bunch of little dots, and the dots move really fast where all the zombies are. I was like, damn, those zombies fast as fuck, as they pounce on all the scientists there. And guess what? There's an outbreak. Run. Black trucks are picking up head Umbrella Corps members. And one of them is Dr. Ashford. What was the woman's name that gets picked up first? Do we even see her? Like after they pick her up? Oh, but because she actually goes where they tell her to go. Because the whole point was to bring him down to the like the fence there, and then they were supposed to get choppered out. But Ashford said, no, my daughter's out there. He's like, I'm not leaving without my daughter. So the actor who played Ashford is Jared Harris, whose father is Richard Harris, who was the first Dumbledore. But he's also been in ridiculous amount of movies. I think he played King George in The Crown recently. He played Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows, the one with Robert Downey Jr. He's been in a lot of things. He's a very good actor. But he's like, I'm not going anywhere until we get my daughter. Shows the daughter getting picked up from her school. She's in a black truck, and her truck gets hit by a cement truck. The word truck's going to be thrown out a lot in this. And flips the truck, and you think it's kind of one of those things where you're like, is she dead? Is she not dead? as she's hanging upside down in the truck. But then we'll see her later as we go and we meet Jill fucking Valentine as she is. There's it just showing her walls in her apartment, all like clippings of like pretty much saying like she's crazy and all that stuff. And she is getting ready because she sees the news reports about, you know, the undead or whatever they're talking about, how there's an outbreak or there's people murdering people in the streets. And you're like, oh, cool. Jill Valentine's in this. I forgot. And yeah, then she comes into the police station and you're like, why is she wearing that outfit? Oh, yeah, because she wore it in the game and we had to be consistent with the game. But it makes no sense to this situation at all. She's a former cop. What is she like? What are you doing? Stupid. And Mike Epps is there, LJ, because we need another useless character in this movie. He's the comic. I'm going to put it in air quotes because he's not really that funny. Comic relief. He'll hang out in this movie way too long. And yeah, she pretty much is like, yeah, this is the undead. Like, well, I told you, dumbasses. I told all of you pretty much. And then she leaves. And it's just a terrible scene all around. This whole scene in the police station, just awful. Like the acting is terrible. Like you were saying, Piggy, Mike Epps, who plays LJ, best actor in this whole thing. Like he knows how to act and nobody else does. They replay the scene from the end of 1. So you pretty much see Alice getting up from the bed as she's jabbed with like 1,000 IVs, doing the thing where she goes out, she gets, something to cover herself. And then she walks outside to the desolate streets of Raccoon City. I'm going to say it like they say it in the movies because, God, it bothered me so much. Raccoon City. Oh, and you see her take a shotgun out of a police car. So remember at the end when we didn't know where she got the shotgun? That's where she got the shotgun. She took it out of a police car. We're finding
took it out of the police car in the first one too.
Oh, did she? I missed that.
Yeah,
completely. I was like, where did she get a shotgun from? All right, I guess that happened. I just did not see it.
She shat it out. I need this.
It's so Raccoon City needs to be evacuated. So
I really hate this.
It's just people getting, trying to get out of the gates and they got to go through, checkpoints and all that stuff to get out. We also see a woman getting chased up a skyscraper by zombies and she gets bit and still gets out. And that's when we get an overhead shot of Carlos Oliveira, Nikolai, and a bunch of other people that I don't know their names flying in a helicopter. Oliveira looks down. He's like, we got to save her. And they're like, what's wrong with you, man? There's like 75 zombies on this roof. And there's this woman who probably was bitten already. What do you mean? He's like, we got to save her. Carlos, you're dumb. I actually like you, but you're dumb in this scene. Stupid. Just keep going. Sorry, lady. And then even when they land, it's like, oh, I've been bitten. And they're like, oh, it's okay. And you're like, no, it's not.
It does like an Assassin's Creed freaking dive off.
Yeah, she even says it. She's like, I'm bitten. And I know what happens. I've seen what happens when people get bit. So she was actually smarter than all of these umbrella soldiers.
All these stars soldiers who've been trained.
They're not stars, though. It doesn't show that.
They are. I do believe they are stars.
Because on their uniform, because I know on the uniforms of the guys that die from Nemesis later, this says stars on their uniforms, but these guys have the Umbrella logo on them.
Yeah, the ones that are like, they're part of so the ones that get killed by the Nemesis later on, those are the elite stars. Those are the ones that like top of the top of that chain of action. And like, if anybody could have killed Nemesis, it would have been them. It wouldn't Okay. No one would have been able to kill them. They're elite trained specifically for something like this. And then you have your regular stars members, which I do believe is what they are, which is why they just have the Umbrella logo. they're closer to like police officers.
Okay.
Like they got no idea what the fuck's going on.
I think I was confused because they didn't really say. I don't remember hearing them say they were STARS agents or STARS soldiers or whatever the hell they are. That's why I was confused, because of the fact that the guys that got destroyed by Nemesis, like they had the STARS patch on them, where the other guys just had Umbrella, and so I was just kind of I don't know. So much confusion.
It's people with the umbrella on them and not the stars at the very end. As well, the ones with the helmets on. Yeah. So it's the tiering system. I do believe. I know they don't actually. I don't think they actually say what Carlos is, but he does drop in with. I'm almost certain those are stars.
Okay. I was confused. Shoning, what's up, buddy?
Those elite ones, the elite stars, if they were meant to kill whatever was coming out, they didn't last very long. They died in like 15 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's how strong Nemesis is. That's all it is to show that.
I love how the sniper guy just like stares at him like, hey. Okay.
So trust me, when Carlos looks down, is like, we got to save this girl. And everybody's like, no. And then he's like, fuck you. And he ties the rope around him and does like a swan dive out of a helicopter. And it's not a bungee cord. All right. This is just a line. All right. So this dude, when that line becomes tall, he is dead. Breaks his back or whatever the fuck he's tied to. He's dead. Unbelievable. It's just how bad that stunt was, or just how bad that all looked. It just looked stupid. It didn't look badass.
He's a STARS member.
Oh my God. So they're like, come on, come with us, you'll be fine. She's like, I got bit. I know what happens when you get bit. Like, it's over. And she then just kind of falls over the side of the building, and man, she fell fast. Like, they literally go from, like, she falls, they get to the edge of the building in probably a second, and she already hit the ground. That's how fast she fell.
You fall at 160 miles an hour.
I still don't think that she would have hit the ground by that point. Like, they literally were like, right, like she did it. Like, they were within arm's length of her when she does it. And they get there and she's already on the ground. You're like,
steps, and she's already down. Like, you would have seen her at least hit. You wouldn't have seen her just laying there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I also like that there's no sound. Like, like
just like
a human body on the top of, like, and it was a building. She didn't land on just like the ground.
Yeah.
It was like
just a smaller building.
10 stories lower. And she falls on the roofing of like this little like pop-up portion of the building, and there's no sound.
Yeah. Crazy.
The volume was down during that time.
We had anti-echo stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like little egg carton stuff. They're like
So we're back at like the wall, the place where they're evacuating citizens of Raccoon City.
You say it like that one more time.
That's how they say it in the movie. I'm just gonna be consistent with the movie. That's how they say it. That's how I'm gonna say it. All right. Even though it pissed me off every time I say, I'm like, why are they saying it like that? Yeah. So you have Jill, her cop friend, Peyton. Was his name right?
Yeah.
Peyton.
His friend.
Yeah.
Her friend was Peyton. Yeah.
Yeah. And was he trying to save like a girl or something? And that's when, oh, no. So it was the guy with his daughter, and he starts to turn, but she just thinks he's sick.
Yeah.
And she's, and he comes, and Peyton goes over to take her away, and the father turns and then bites Peyton. And then that's when everything goes down. So then we got the one of the big umbrella guys. I call him the Age of Ultron guy because he plays Strucker in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He's the one who pretty much helps create Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in that movie. But he's just a generic bad guy. He's very good at playing a bad guy. Not really, but yeah. His name is Kane. I did not figure that out to the very end of the movie when they said his name like 10 times. I literally just called him the Age of Ultron guy because I could not figure out what his name was.
Can I comment really fast on when they were like, when you meet Peyton and everybody, and Jill's like running up to talk to Peyton and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When that guy falls and his daughter is like, no, he's got a heart condition. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
People have already started turning. People are already killing other people. They are zombies. They know that you can't just shoot them, and that as soon as you die, you turn.
Yeah.
Why did they approach him, let alone not just shoot him?
Because you got to add something to the movie. You know, you got to add that situation. Peyton gets bit, and then we have to deal with that for the next 25 minutes.
Half the movie.
Yeah. I know what's gonna happen. Yeah. So Umbrella stops the evacuations because of this event, and pretty much orders the Umbrella soldiers to shoot just everybody. It's like, pretty much, we're gonna shoot you guys if you try to break through the wall here. But that doesn't happen. They do a countdown, but they don't shoot anybody. There's a lot of zombies. There is just so many. And Kane is talking to somebody mysterious on the phone. Do we ever find out who he's talking to? He's talking to some dude on the phone, like a guy that's like higher up than him, because he's pretty high up in Umbrella. He's talking to somebody even higher. I'm guessing it's the other doctor from the end of the movie. That's who I'm feeling it is.
I don't think they ever show or even let you hear his voice, do they?
Is he not talking to the guy that's controlling? Because it's not Major Kane that controls Nemesis, is it? Like when they're in the guy that's giving the girl orders to program the stuff.
No, I think Kane's the one who's giving the orders.
Is that Kane?
Yeah. It's the guy at the end who controls Alice. Well, Kane kind of controls her and Nemesis until that guy comes in at the end of the movie. Oh my God, just so much confusion. So Ashford's like, I'm not leaving without my daughter. He's like, well, we got to get you out of here. He's like, I'm not leaving. So they're like, okay. So Ashford goes into like a tent, goes on his computer. He's got a tracker. Well, he pretty much just taps in all the cameras that are around the city to try to locate his daughter. Finds out that she's in her school. Also finds Alice walking down the street. That's when Alice goes into a store to get, some clothes. And she always has to have an outfit that has like that bare spot where she puts the gun holster on her leg. Like she has the jeans, but she had to cut like a chunk of the jeans out just to have that holster there. Like, okay, it's a weird design. And she also starts having a reaction because she got infected with, we're guessing, is the Nemesis, whatever the virus is, the T virus. And she starts having flashbacks because we get a lot of flashbacks in this movie. But then also Ashford sees Jill, Peyton, and this news reporter, can't remember her name, but doesn't matter because she's expendable in this movie and she kind of sucks. But they see those three go into a church. They run into this guy who's like, this is my spot. Get out. And he's like throwing his gun around like an idiot. And Jill then is walking around the church to try to figure out, if anyone's there. She finds a priest. She finds a woman sitting in a chair looking away from the camera. And you always know if there's somebody sitting in a chair looking away from the camera, they're probably not good. But the priest comes in. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, what are you doing? And then they turn around and it's his sister, right? And she turned into a zombie. And she bites him. And so there's a lot of shooting that happens, which then the news lady is like, I'm getting out of here. And it's like, there's like 100 zombies outside that know you're in the church. The fuck are you going outside for, dumbass? Stupid.
The amount of dumbassery that happens in this movie is just
so
awe-inspiring.
So bad. Corey, you have a great night, man. Thank you for stopping by.
See ya, buddy.
And so I do have a question. This is one of the things that when I was watching, I kind of like hyperfixated on it for a while. I won't lie, I missed a lot of the action between them and in the church and whatever.
Yeah.
So the priest comes in and he's like, my sister, she's sick, and like just leave us alone and whatever. And then you find out she's a zombie, and like he's been feeding her. This whole ordeal has only really been going on for like maybe 2 days. So I'm really curious how there were like there were news broadcastings going on that were just like on repeat of live people being like, people are killing each other and eating each other, and it's bonkers outside. And then there's like newspapers that are like, everybody's eating each other. And this guy has body parts to feed her. Either he had to start just killing people immediately. Like, as soon as she got bit, he was like, you know what? We're just gonna start going like full-on Dahmer party over here. Like, we're just gonna take anybody and kill them and feed them to my sister. And like, she's not even turned yet. She's just like, oh, my bite mark. And he's like, yep, gotta murder everybody and get you food. Like,
you know what's really ironic is I don't know if, well, I know, Brett, you haven't watched all, but I don't know if you have, Piggy, but the Walking Dead.
Yes.
So I'm rewatching it, and I watched this movie, and then I watched an episode of The Walking Dead, and it's the episode where the governor, you see there, he has his daughter, and he like, so it's like, it's ironic that this scene is kind of like, they're like the same thing, and I watched it in like the same day. It's like, this is like the same thing going on, but except for one's a sister and one's a daughter.
Yeah, it was like, I now see where they got it. I'm fairly certain the people who made The Walking Dead just watched a bunch of zombie movies in succession, and they were like, you know what, we gotta make a TV show like this. And so it's just a bunch from like everything, just little tidbits here and there from all across the board.
Yeah.
But like,
Coral,
how fast was this man at killing and dismembering people?
Yeah, right.
Because it's only been a day or so.
It's not like he was very limber, you know. He was like this older man. It's not like he was, you know, some old Stars member or something. He was just like this old dude that can.
Yeah.
I mean,
like your next door neighbor, probably 60 years old or so, 50, 60. And like, there's just body parts, and there's body parts that aren't connected to each other. Like, they're definitely not from the same person. So it's just like, you killed how many people? And I know it's supposed to be shocking, but I'm more concerned about the time frame here. Like, I just can't get over it. Because like, if one of my friends got bit, it would take me a while to find them food. You gotta go find a living person for that.
Yeah, you can't just be like dragging like dead zombies back. It's not good meat, you know? It's not good meat.
Yeah. It's gone stale.
I mean, she even said, she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
yeah.
This is messed up.
On the flip side of that, maybe he already had all of that meat. Maybe he already had all those body parts.
Maybe he was a serial killer priest and we just didn't know it.
Maybe it was all the people that were going to church that day. He just like killed them all and dragged them in there.
This is all for God.
Continue going. I just wanted to point out that there was like a really short time frame right there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So after the news lady tries to go outside like a dumbass and they reshut the door, that's when you see like silhouette of like something jumping around and you're like, oh, what do we got here? But it's a liquor. And it's a better looking liquor than in the first one. And I was like, well, thank God. Because boy, did that one look bad. The dumb guy that they find in the church, he runs away. He's all by himself, and he runs into one of the liquors. It wraps the tongue around his neck and just destroys him. Jill then comes in contact with one of the liquors, probably the same liquor that killed the guy. and she finds the gun under a pew. And man, she has a real hard time reaching for this gun. And she's not even being attacked by the liquor. So I would understand if like the liquor like wrapped its tongue around her leg and was like pulling her away and she's trying to reach. No, she is just trying to reach for a gun. Listen, you're not a very big woman. You should be easily able to slide your whole body under that pew. But you were reaching like it was a mile away. Like, I can't. And then it was like barely gets it. Really good. And then you find out there's 3 liquors, which is just okay. That's cool. And then Alice comes in epically, crashing through the stained glass window with her motorcycle. She literally single-handedly takes out all the liquors by herself. And then immediately after she does it, fucking Jill walks up and is like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, bitch, I'm the one just saved your ass. Fuck you. Get out of here.
Find this motorcycle, by the way.
I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse. There's probably a motorcycle chilling somewhere.
A beautiful one like that, just sitting around?
I guess so.
The last time I saw her, she was naked with a shotgun. And now has a really nice suit and a freaking motorcycle.
Was it a really nice suit? It was literally like a tank top with like a fishnet shirt, jeans. Yeah.
Listen, it was a lot better than her gown that she had.
That thing was literally 2 sheets of paper.
Looks like she got stuck in a printer.
But yeah, the liquor kills were actually pretty cool. Like she goes through the window. I think she throws like a satchel of grenades on one of the liquors, and then she does like the cool slow-mo gunshot, which I bitched a lot about slow-mo shots last week.
She crashes the bike into it and then shoots the gas tank.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. She does a cool backflip and then it drives up the liquor and then she she shoots at the gas tank with the slow-mo bullet kind of spinning and it hits. Didn't mind that slow-mo shot. I hate slow-mo shots, but that wasn't terrible. Then we have to go back and hang out with LJ because why not? And he talks about and he hits a zombie, says some stupid GTA thing. GTA kill 10 points. I'm like, and then gets distracted by zombie boobies. Literally 3 topless zombies walking or stumbling down the street, and that man is just gawking and then crashes his car.
In his defense, they were nice, but also it's a zombie apocalypse, sir.
Are you talking about LJ?
In zombie apocalypse.
LJ, like he needs to calm himself and just get out of there. Like he just gotta go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gotta go get those boobies.
So
gotta get some zombie boobies.
Yeah. So we needed that whole scene. That was pointless.
Well, we couldn't afford a whole lot of Mila topless, so we had to do with other actresses.
They had to find some bustier ones, and it's like, all right,
yeah,
but they got to be zombies. We got to make this classy.
You gotta make this classy. Yes, that's how you do this.
Yep. Then we go back to Carlos, Nikolai, and other guys that are in this group. They're shooting a bunch of zombies that are swarming them. Then he shoots a bunch of zombies, but not before his friend. Does his friend get bit, or does it like something hit him or something? One of the ones that he's like dragging into that building.
Nikolai's friend gets bit. The blonde guy, I think he was blonde.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Yeah, so he was like standing next to a truck and he's like rap, just like taking out all these zombies, and then one of them falls out of the truck because apparently being locked in a truck by yourself with no way in and or out other than breaking down the door gets you turned into a zombie. So he fell on top of him, and he like right as the zombie gets like a little, like he had like a throwing knife and he gets it like right in the forehead. Just before that happens, of course, Nikolai's friend gets bit.
Yeah.
And then he's like, have this grenade for 2.5 zombies.
I know there's 50 in front of him. He throws it to the right where there's 2.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy. You had one job.
So Ashford is watching everything happening. He's got everything up on his computer. He's seeing everything that's happening between these 3 groups. Well, now it's 2 groups, and I guess LJ, so I guess 3, but whatever. Then we get a really pointless shot of a raccoon. I'm going to say it on purpose. A Raccoon City Police Department, like a policeman's helmet, and you get the reflection of the zombie like going up close to it. Why did we need this shot? Why?
Zombies.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so Jill, Alice, Peyton, and News Lady, they're running through the cemetery. And the zombies are coming up. They're rising from the dead. What the fuck is this logic? Why are they rising from the dead? This is not, makes no sense.
So we were talking about this because this is when they're in the thing, right? The
cemetery.
Graveyard?
Yeah, they're in the cemetery. Yeah.
So this part of the reason they put that in there was because this was the most beloved part of, I do believe, Resident Evil 2. There is a graveyard and there are a couple zombies in the game, but the zombies are not from the graves. And so the people I was watching this with, we were talking about it, and I was like, okay, first of all, for those of you who may not know, embalming. If you embalm a body, it lasts for roughly like 3 or 4 months before it begins decomposing, and the decomposition is super slow. It's a very slow process because it's to preserve things, right? So it takes roughly about a year for a body to get to the point of decomp with embalming fluid in it. And this is give or take. It depends on like how hot everything is. Do they hit permafrost? There's a bunch of specifics. So we're just going to go for a year. In about a year, you have decomposed so bad that you cannot physically move. You will not have the muscle mass to be able to move, even if this were a case. Even if this was a thing that would happen. Now, also, the T-virus is now airborne, which means it would have to rain in order to get into the ground. So,
and then into their casket?
Yes, and then into their casket. So, 1, why's Raccoon City got so many less than a year-old dead bodies? And 2, when did it rain? How did they get inside of them? They don't breathe anymore, so they literally have to have the wetness on them.
I see this scene and I was like, the logic makes no fucking sense. They needed to add another fight scene or another interaction with this main core and zombies, and it's just stupid. We get a really dizzying camera shots as Jill and Alice are fighting the zombies. This is one of the few times where you get these fight scenes where it's jumping so fast between them fighting, you don't know what the fuck is going on. You literally don't. Yeah, it was either this one or the next one we see where I physically was like, I had to look away for a second because it was just so dizzying. Stop doing this, filmmakers. If you're going to do a fucking fight scene, zoom out a little bit and just have them fight. Do like some sort of like not full aerial, but like slightly off so you can see everything happening in one frame and not 75 frames. Stop it. It's bad. I understand this movie came out in 2004, but God, this is awful. And then we get a zoom up. Yeah, it's
rough.
And we get a really cool zoom in shot on a gravestone that just says rest in peace. And you're like, okay, thank you. Then Kane, he goes, activate Nemesis. And you get the shot of Nemesis lying on the table and the computer showing his vitals and all that. And yeah, we're going to see Nemesis soon. We have Carlos, Nikolai, and injured guy going to, I don't know if it's a hospital or if it's an umbrella facility. I don't know what it is.
How did they get there?
I don't know.
Like,
They were just
does
carrying him.
Umbrella just have like so it shows where the Nemesis is all like connected and hooked up and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And like spoiler alert, but at the end of the movie it pans out and it shows you the city.
Yeah.
So like did they just have like this super important bioweapon sitting in the middle of Raccoon City just chilling while zombies just come out of nowhere
I guess
and
so.
just like riggedy wreck the day? How did they get Nemesis there in the first place?
So many questions. I feel we're never going to get an
Well,
answer to.
wasn't Nemesis already in the facility at the end of the first one?
No.
Because doesn't Matt turn into Nemesis?
Yeah, and they snatch him up and they're like put him in the Nemesis program, and it shows them pulling him out of
I think
the mansion, which is at the outskirts of Raccoon City, like way out there.
so. Just to give them maybe a little credit, because I don't have any more. What if they transported before the second one started, like as he's still human? They could have because then it wouldn't be as sketchy, because he wouldn't look like Nemesis yet. He would just look like a human with a messed up arm.
Still doesn't.
I don't know. I'm trying to help these terrible writers out, but it's not.
More logic we won't know. We don't know anything about. I just don't fuck with this. What is this movie?
It's just like, we have no idea, and we're never going to.
Nope.
I was trying real hard.
So we have
still no idea why they have this like multi-billion-dollar bioweapon in the middle of a gigantic city in a place where obviously people can just walk their little booties right in there.
So what is the point? So was the point of Nemesis just to eliminate people that were going to try to stop Umbrella?
So Nemesis was kind of like, in the movies, he's an accident. Like so Matt gets transformed and he has a really, really weird reaction when he gets the vaccine. So they put him into the Nemesis program because his body doesn't fully reject, but it also doesn't fully accept, like Mila's body does, the T virus, which is why he starts getting like the wobblies out of his shoulder and stuff like that. And he kind of gets like all those weird tubes in his face starts melting and whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So the Nemesis is a tyrant, which is from the T virus. The T virus is the tyrant virus. And his body doesn't fully, like I said, reject or accept. And he ends up transforming. He is controllable though. And so what he was supposed to be to do, I think his job was supposed to be cleanup crew. I think his job was supposed to be like, he's supposed to come in and kill all the zombies before they start killing the rest of the city, but he wasn't ready. And like, so was it 3 weeks? No, it wasn't 3 weeks in the beginning of the movie. Like how long was it? How long between the first and the second movie was there?
It's within a few days. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know how long from when they take Alice out of the mansion and she wakes up at the end of one. I don't know the time. They don't tell you the time frame between those scenes. It's got to be weeks, I'm guessing.
I would assume it's weeks, but also I would assume it's just days.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, again, don't tell us shit. Just figure it out yourself, or just come up with your own narrative. I don't know. Thank you, Paul Anderson, for these lovely movies. So they go to whatever the fuck this building is, because I see an umbrella helicopter carrying 2 boxes. The boxes get dropped in this building. They see the helicopter fly away. They're like, what the fuck? Come back. They go in. The cases are empty. And they're like, what the hell is this? Is this for us? And like, well, no, it doesn't look like it's for us, because there were 2 weapon cases that were completely empty. So the injured soldier, he turns, he bites Carlos, and then we cut to some cowboy dudes, cowboy snipers sitting on top of a building. I don't know what it is. I don't think it might be like a restaurant, but he's sitting in between, like there's giant letters on top, and he's kind of propped in between one. And guess who's here? LJ's back. And well, he starts sniping at zombies, and then LJ's trying to break into a car, and he pretty much you think he's gonna shoot LJ, but he actually shoots a zombie that's behind him. Cool. LJ then goes in. It's a bunch of STARS agents, and then the sniper is sitting on top of the building. He sees Nemesis for the first time, and boy, is this boy big. And he puts a couple rounds into him, and with a 50 cal, it does some damage, but it doesn't do shit to Nemesis. And he's like, what the fuck is that? And then we get Nemesis whipping out a minigun and just goes to town on all of these agents.
He shoots the rocket.
Oh, he shoots the rocket up on the cowboy guy.
Yeah.
Right. But you really don't get a clarification whether or not he died, but you kind of just assume he died. And then he whips out a minigun and just completely destroys everybody in the building.
He says his one word.
Yeah, STARS.
His one word of glory.
And every time
one important person.
Yes, LJ, thank you.
Now, granted, he's controlled. There's no way in hell you're going to spray a minigun like that and not hit one person that's
the guy who's standing in the middle.
Yeah. Like, I do not care.
Like, Nemesis has got some pinpoint accuracy. That's all I got to say. So, yeah, so he doesn't kill LJ because LJ's just a civilian, and that is not what he's meant to do. He had a gun in his hand, then he drops the gun, and so it's like, well, not a threat. Gotta go. See you later, buddy. I'll see you in 20 minutes. Yeah. So yeah, my nose. Why is Nemesis even here? What the fuck is happening so much for STARS? Because I didn't know the other guys were STARS agents either. So that was my like, oh, okay. Well, the STARS are already gone. Cool.
Yeah.
The Jill, I just put in here. The Jill actress is just not good in this movie, and every time she talks, she tries so hard to be a badass, and to me, she's not. She's not Michelle Rodriguez, all right? She's not. Stop it. Ashford makes a deal with Alice to save his daughter. Pretty much, you save my daughter, and I will get you out of the city. And then tells them that, oh, yeah, Umbrella's going to drop a nuke on the city. And they're like, what the fuck? And then we get the scene on the bridge where they're all trying to cross it, and Alice is like, there's something out there. Everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's nothing out there. Like, it's just like mist in like a tunnel. And she's like, there's something down there. And then Nemesis just comes out of the shadows, and she's like, I gotta fight him. And so she jumps off the bridge. Does she jump off the bridge and then Nemesis starts shooting up the bridge?
So he shoots at the bridge, which is where Peyton
he dies.
He gets laid down to rest. And then Jill decides that she absolutely has to avenge him against this minigun with her tiny little Glock. And she's like screaming and crying. And the news lady is just like screaming, and that's when Alice is like, you like just go get out of here, like you're just go on and take your pudding with you. And that's when she like jumps more just like floats. I despise when people in like action movies have to jump over things and they just like don't touch the railings, and they just kind of like like they don't touch anything, they just float. Hate it so much. Like when she does the backflip in the beginning of the movie where she just kind of like lifts up and then like spins backwards.
Yeah.
Couldn't she have like held onto the handlebars and like stood up with one foot on the seat and pretended to jump backwards? No. Had to float. Anyways, that's my criticism for that one now too. But yeah, and then she jumps down, and that's when Nemesis is like, and she's like, little tiny pistols.
Yep.
And then she runs away.
But damn, she can jump like a jackrabbit. She's just leaping everywhere like a lemur. Just, what the fuck?
She, like,
all right.
She jumps like 15 feet in the air. She just like whoop right over the fence.
Yep.
And lands on a police cruiser. And then she looks back, and in the time of him firing that, she manages to jump forward another like 10, 15 feet, just like whoop, right off the car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Well, you find out later she's like superhuman. So
it
makes sense at that point. Didn't make sense here. I'm like, what the fuck? What is happening?
It just, well, I mean, it kind of makes sense because you got the wobblies in her arm, like under the skin, which I hate.
Yeah.
Rather have the armpit worms than the wobblies. But I just, still, even knowing she's infected, like, okay, you're super, it's not gonna make you fly.
In this movie, it does. So Nemesis and Alice fight. They're in a building, and she's going down the hallway, and like he whips out his rocket launcher. She like shoots below a garbage chute. She shoots the wall below it, so she can slide into that chute, and then has to use the top of the trash can or whatever the hell was there.
She tips it over. She tips over the dumpster so that the dumpster faces.
Yeah, because a rocket launcher hitting a dumpster is going to do nothing to the dumpster. That's how strong a dumpster is, ladies and gentlemen. You want to protect yourself from a rocket launcher, just buy a dumpster. All right.
Why don't we have this technology? Why aren't we using this?
I know. Why do we use tanks when we could just roll around in dumpsters?
We then go back to the bridge where Jill is trying to hotwire a truck. And then the news lady comes in. She's like, I'm sorry about your friend. And she's like, it's okay.
Jill, and then Peyton's like, nah.
Yeah, and then zombie Peyton comes out, tries to bite Jill. Jill shoots him. She hesitates because, yes, hesitate killing zombie your friend.
Because we are emotionally attached to Peyton, and Jill, despite the fact of murdering a bunch of people in her previous precinct, as well as like police officers and civilians alike, and being like, you have to kill them first. She has a problem right now. Yep.
LJ then joins the group because, again, we needed him in this movie. And then we go to the school, and we get a nice shot of the van that's parked outside the Raccoon City Police Department van that's parked outside the school that has the crates that are torn open. So you're like, ooh, more zombie pooches. Yeah. Oliveira, or Carlos, is at the school too. And so that means it's party time because Carlos also got a call from Ashford to go try to help get his daughter back. Pretty much Ashford's just calling everybody he sees and like, hey, can you find my daughter? Can you find my daughter? I just need somebody to get my daughter. So everybody splits up because we all know that's a great idea. Everybody takes a floor of the school. And the news lady is walking around the school, and she goes into a classroom, and there's a little girl sitting on the floor with her back against the girl, and you're like, this isn't good. What are you doing? She goes up. She's talking to it like she's not a zombie, and touches her, and the girl turns around. She's got a fucking arm in her hands, and you're like, oh shit. And then like 50 students, zombie kids, come out of nowhere. They drag the news lady away, surround her, and she gone. And Jill finds Angela, which is Ashford's daughter. And she has a very awkward conversation with her as they're like walking away. Like just so many weird things being said. And I'm like, what?
You mean it's not normal to be like, wow, you have such an adult name for a child? And she's like, all my friends call me Angie.
Oh.
And the fact that, like, Angie was like, I'm not a kid. And it's like,
She sounds like the Red Queen.
she is who the Red Queen was modeled after.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah, she is not only the hologram actress, but she is also, like, she is who the Red Queen is supposed to be. Her dad was the one who made the computer system, and he was the one who, like, well, I mean, I guess we'll get to that. But yeah, her dad made the computer system, but we'll get to the rest of it. It's spoilers for the next 5 minutes.
Yay! So the zombie pooches are back. Nikolai comes out of nowhere and just starts hitting headshot after headshot on all these pooches. But then a couple of those pooches said, it's time for a Nikolai snack. And they attack Nikolai, and now he's out of the movie. That was a long period of time. We then we get a lunch. Was it a lunch lady? What? Lunch lady neck snap? I don't know what that note is.
Yeah, it was the lunch lady. So
okay.
Jill
she
and
crawls
Andrew,
out from the thing. Right. Yeah.
I got you on this one.
Like I see my note. I'm like, what the fuck is a lunch lady? Like,
so like Jill and Angie are like crawling around because they're like, what's out there? More zombies. And they don't know that there's dogs, or maybe they see the dogs. I didn't see that part. And they're like crawling around. And then the zombie, who coincidentally is being very quiet. It's really nice that she was so quiet, because she's like, just like the most quiet like moan.
Yeah.
And she's like coming after Jill, and Jill's like, snaps the neck, like fumbles and hesitates for a second.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, we'll take it.
So this scene kind of like, I feel like it's some sort of throwback to the raptor scene in Jurassic Park. It kind of has that similar feel to it. Just them being in the kitchen and they're being stalked by the dogs. I mean, it's very small, but I was like, oh, it's cool callback, even if it's not, if that wasn't their intention. So yeah, and then we get some fiery pooches. Jill turns on all of the burners on the stoves, and she's going to throw a match in there, but before the match can actually hit the kitchen, it goes out. Oh no, the dogs are coming. But Alice is like, fuck you, I smoke. Flicks her lit cigarette into the room, blows everything up. Smoking's bad, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Once again, not even not in the previous movie and not in this.
No. Okay. Just
it's the one time she's like, I'm so stressed, I need to smoke.
Yeah. Fuck these zombies.
And then she gets saved by a space blanket.
Yes. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, she rips a space blanket out of the fucking box that was right outside and like perfectly shields her and Angela as the fire hits her. But Jill gets fucking flung across the room. Bye, Jill. She's still alive, everybody.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah. So then we find out that Angela has been she's pretty much been experimented on because she has a debilitating disease that pretty much would put her in a wheelchair and pretty much it was kind of like Lou Gehrig's disease, sort of. It's kind of I'm taking it it's what her father has.
I think so.
And he's pretty much injecting her with the T virus to try to save her from having to go through all that.
He was injecting just enough to heal or to stop her from having to be in a wheelchair. So pretty much it was healing her body, and then he would inject enough vaccine so she wouldn't become. So he was like
she wouldn't.
He was doing like just enough dose of each so that it would heal her body enough where she would be able to walk and do all this stuff, but it wouldn't turn her into a zombie. And then that went sour.
Are we going to talk about the fact that she had, instead of a lunch, she just had a box of the anti-serum?
Yeah.
Who needs lunch? That's
Thanks,
for the
Dad.
lunch lady to take
Thanks,
care
Dad.
of. No one said the lunch lady had to become a zombie.
I mean, you can give me these to, I can do this to continue my treatment, but I do like to eat real food, Thanks, Dad.
At home, but no, instead you send it with your daughter to school in middle school. Like, do you know how rude kids are?
Listen, he's rich, so
Yeah,
he can afford school lunch double if she wanted it.
Okay, so lunch is taken care of, but what if the kids steal her lunch box and they're like, why do you have a lunch box if you never bring lunch? And then they just steal it and they take it home, and now these kids have some weird injectable that they're just taking home.
Yeah, I feel like she should have like a paraprofessional, like a STARS member, like walking around with her.
I have a lot of questions, okay? I just have a lot.
I don't even think they're worth asking.
So you find out all that. Plus, you find out that Alice is infected, but you kind of figure that out in a few scenes before. She's also been injected with the T virus, but her body pretty much can handle it better, so she doesn't mutate like Matt did when he becomes Nemesis. I do like that they show shots of Matt like in the middle of transforming into Nemesis. Like it was, you see him for who he is as Matt, and then as he's slowly becoming Nemesis, you see like he still looks like Matt, but he's got the really like the lip is starting to disappear, like he's starting to get that look. I thought that was cool. But yay for all of this. Ashford got caught by Kane, and Alice gives Carlos the antivirus because if you don't remember, he got bit earlier in the movie, and he needs to be in movies in the future, so he can't die yet. And then we get a scene where they're trying to sneak into a facility. How the fuck does Alice get in the top of this building so fast?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Like, and it's like I'd say like a 20-story building.
Yeah.
You can jump really high.
They're just walking in through the door, and suddenly she's up at the top.
Yeah.
She can float.
Remember? She just had to take out that one guy, and then she has to tie herself to a rope and then do the weirdest wall run ever.
Did you see her feet never touch the building?
Yeah.
She was just running on air. I'm like, why are you even running? You might as well just float down.
When they did the editing for this, they didn't the guy editing, he had to squint to try to get her feet as close to the building as possible, and he still failed.
Yeah.
She just looks like she's running on nothing. But wow, what a scene that was. The sound design is so bad when she's fighting these soldiers. It's like she's punching them, and then the punch sound comes 5 seconds after she punches them, and you're like, what? Who is
it's
drunk
like an old
right
movie
now?
where it has the words come up. It's like kapow.
Yeah. What is going on? I do have to say though, the music, like the soundtrack for this movie that plays during pretty much the entire movie, is not nearly as bad as it was in one. It wasn't as like in your face. This is an early 2000s action movie.
I didn't buy it.
No, it was fine. But the sound design in this part was the worst. Like you couldn't match her hitting the guy with the punch sound. It was terrible. So they all get to a certain spot and they run into Kane and Nemesis. Oh no. They get to the top because Ashford tells them about a helicopter. They get to that spot, they get on the helicopter, they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And then you find out that Kane's on the plane and he captures them all, and he's got them all tied up, and pretty much he tells Alice, you need to fight Nemesis. Like, this is what you guys were created to do. You were created to fight, and that's what you're gonna do. And she's like, I'm not. Sorry, go ahead.
That out of nowhere, this turned into Mortal Kombat at the end of the movie.
Well, I think pretty much this was. Doesn't he say something in the movie about how like this is the test to see which one is the better
is superior?
Soldier? Like, the one that
Yeah.
for them to use.
Which Alice is superior. This whole fight shows that she is so superior.
I know. I wish
takes...
they put a thing. I wish they put a scene where they were just, and then it just said "ready, fight."
Yeah, and they had like a life bar over their head. But yeah, she gets like 17 punches in before he even swings his arm. I was like, wow, this fight seems great. But she's like, no, I don't want to fight him. You know, she knows it's Matt. Or does she know it's Matt? Or does she know it's Matt after he impales himself? Or she impales him?
She's just like, I don't
she
want
just doesn't want to fight him.
She just doesn't want to play this dude's game. She's like, no, get wrecked.
She knows it's Matt when she looks into his eye, like after
when she impales him on that piece of bar, whatever.
Rebar that he pulled because he wanted a weapon because he was too slow to just beat her with his hands.
Yep. So yeah, she says no, and Kane's like, all right, and shoots Ashford right in the head. And you know, his daughter's crying over him, and she's like, you piece of shit. So they fight. And again, why the fuck do you have to cut so many times and so fucking fast that I can't see what the fuck is happening? I don't know what's going on.
No, you don't need to.
Cutting so fast.
You don't need to know what's happening.
So then we get a sword fight. Nemesis like we said, he pulls a piece of bar off of a structure there. And Kane throws Alice some swords. Okay. And they have a sword fight. And Alice is pretty much, I mean, she's owning in this fight. Like, I don't think Nemesis has really gotten anything on her throughout this fight. And when Nemesis pulled the bar down and ripped it off, he made a nice sharp bar that he could easily just back into and impale himself on. And pretty much that's what he does. And when he gets impaled, Alice looks into his eye and she realizes, oh, it's Matt. Oh no. And she's like, yeah. And then she's done fighting. And she pretty much tells Kane that he's a piece of shit. And Nemesis remembers Alice and kind of remembers who he is, I guess. I don't know. And Nemesis becomes a good guy now.
Yeah, now Nemesis is the good guy and him's friend.
Yep.
And, you know, just normal stuff, right? That's how this works.
So Kane runs back onto the helicopter. He's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And LJ turns around and is like, well, I know how. What does he say? He says something like, the last thing I drove was a Cadillac, or I'm used to driving a Cadillac or something like that. Yeah. Alice is in a room with a lot of windows. Don't know where that came from. And she starts running as the helicopter shoots all the bullets, and we get the cool thing where she's slightly ahead of him and all the glasses.
Yeah, I just want to say that this helicopter pilot should be fired because the fact that you can't adjust about a foot just to make sure the bullets hit her, it's just a perfect trail right behind her.
Yep.
I also like that this is part where like they would pan away and she was running and then pan away and running and pan away and running because like it just wasn't enough action.
Yep.
Watching her just run.
Yep. Where am I? Oh, then she gets to the end of the hallway and there's a couple soldiers there and they're like, put down your weapon. And then she goes to drop her gun, but then does a cool drop shot where she catches the gun and like gets 3 bullets off before not a single one of them can shoot at her. What?
Yeah, they should be fired. Well, now they're dead, so I guess
all these guys suck. I found some real dumbasses to be these soldiers. There's a helicopter flying away, or the helicopter that's shooting at them. Nemesis comes out of nowhere with his rocket launcher. He shoots the helicopter, but then the helicopter hits him. And part of the helicopter hits Alice, and she probably should have been dead, but she's not, because we need her for 4 more movies. Alice...
She's superhuman.
Yeah, so Alice gets on the helicopter after she's woken up by, I think Angela wakes her up or goes over to her body. Was it Angela who goes over and is like, wake up? And she's like, should have been dead. And she looks over and Nemesis is pinned under the helicopter, so he's done. She gets on the helicopter. She threatens Kane and ends up throwing him off the helicopter. And irony, Ashford zombie is the one to bite him first. Question, though, and my wife was the one who actually stated this when we were watching the movie. So when you become a zombie, doesn't it regenerate your cells so you can... So, like, he couldn't walk. Wouldn't he be able to walk as a zombie?
He would be able to. So theoretically, he would be able to, but it would take time because he has to actually regain the...
Okay.
Like, he has to remake the cells. And I do believe that regeneration only exists in living tissue. Once it's died, it's just reanimation. So you can keep using them. So if you didn't have the muscle mass prior, you wouldn't have the muscle mass after.
All right. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Because he crawls over to bite him when he's on the ground.
Yeah.
And then he gets eaten by all the other zombies.
I know
so
it's
yeah.
really weird because the whole movie, he's like, everybody's like, we're using it for regeneration and Angie, and that's this big giant plot point, and it causes regeneration. And then once it like, it's like, no, actually, scientifically, he can't. And it's like, nice change there.
Okay. A missile then gets shot over the city, and it's a missile that doesn't have to hit the ground. It literally it explodes above the city, which I get. Is this a callback to one of the games? Is this what happens at the end of RE3? So I guess it's I've never seen a missile like that, but
most bombs don't explode on the ground. They blow before they hit the ground because it covers more. It covers more area.
Detonation.
Like atomic bombs don't ever hit the ground.
I feel like they do.
They blow like it's like 100 or 200 feet above, and then it's the shockwave and everything that destroys everything.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know if I believe you.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
So after the explosion happens, Alice is impaled because she's shielding everybody in the helicopter. The helicopter crashes, and Umbrella shows up.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, the Umbrella shows up to the crash site, and there's a body under a sheet. Who is that body? It's Alice.
Hey, please
dead?
Pause. Ready? Nuclear. The airburst is usually detonated between 100 to 1,000 meters, or 330 to 3,280 feet above the hypocenter to allow the shockwave of the fission or fusion-driven explosion to bounce off the ground and back into itself, creating a shockwave that is more forceful than one from a detonation at ground level.
All right. Well, there you go. I said I was going to look it up. So we get a false report about everything that happens in Raccoon City. Pretty much at first they were pretty much they had the video of Alice pretty much calling Umbrella out, saying what they were doing, and then Umbrella pretty much paid off all the news networks to pretty much lie about it, saying it was pretty much a nuclear power plant collapsed and caused all this shit to happen. So pretty much Carlos and Jill Valentine are fugitives. They are wanted for lying about what happened. Then we see that Alice is not dead. She's in a tank in a facility.
She's Mewtwo.
Yes.
It's just
because if you've seen Mila naked once, you're gonna see her many more times. Naked. You find out she's like superhuman. They let her out of her tank. She can't remember shit, or at least she pretends like she can't remember shit. And she then remembers and is pissed off about it. She's like, I know my name, and I know you're a piece of shit. And then she goes crazy and pretty much murks everybody in the lab. And I guess Alice has telekinetic powers because she kills a security guy watching her on the cams. She literally just looks up at the camera and then the dude's like bleeding from the fucking bleeding from his eyes. Poppy, hello. Rudy,
Cute.
what's up?
And hanging out, and she's like, "Oh yeah."
Yep. Jill, Carlos, and LJ pretty much pretend to be Umbrella employees to rescue Alice. And you're like, oh, the band's getting back together. Yay. And then the scary scientist who is the one who worked with Kane for the Nemesis program, he pretty much was like, let her go. Just let her go. But we're going to activate her. And when she gets activated, an umbrella symbol forms in her eye. And oh no, what's going to happen now? Wait, you got to wait till the next goddamn movie to figure this shit out. And then we end on a Kill Switch Engage song, which I actually enjoyed. I was like, thank fucking God they ended with a good song. And then a weird post-credit thing pops up where it's like, it says Resident Evil Apocalypse and then the talking about Umbrella. And you're like, what? Okay. And then that's it.
Yeah, they have the advertisement for Umbrella because so in this world, in this timeline of Resident Evil, Umbrella Corporation, which is actually semi-true for the games as well, just not to the same extent as the movies. You find out that Umbrella Corporation is actually like this huge corporation. It's almost like on par with I would say it's really close to being on par with size-wise, close to Amazon. But in what they show that they do, it would be closer to like L'Oreal, where they make they help with fertility issues and stuff like that. And like that's their main thing, which is why the commercial was just like Umbrella Corporation, where what was it, like where life comes first or something like that.
Yep.
And it's because they primarily focus on like fertility and stuff like that, and which makes you really be like, that's sketchy. But then they also do like makeup products, and they do like face creams, and they also do medical supplies on top of that. And so it's like they have this huge giant market out there, and then secretly they're underground doing all this crazy ass testing. And so it's like they tried to show you the flip side of Umbrella Corporation at the end of this movie, which makes you kind of like question what's going on, but it was really, really out of place. I would have liked more so along the lines of like, before you find out in the first movie that it's Umbrella, that we would have had this kind of advertisement and have it be like a TV commercial that someone was watching or something.
Yeah.
And like, Umbrella, your life comes first or something, and just have like show the little commercial where they're like, come to our clinics, blah blah blah. We have this new testing product and whatever, and like that would have been nice. More like Johnson and Johnson. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like that is pretty much what they do in this universe. And yeah. And the fact that scientist is just like, let her go. You sure? You sure you're gonna do that? Really?
No one in these movies are smart, so it's not surprising.
If they had even just so much as read like if they had gone on and read the Cliff Notes Wikipedia on Resident Evil, they would have been able to make so much better movies. Had they just read like a very short TLDR of like what the story is in Resident Evil games, these movies could have been a bajillion times better. And we're only 2 in, like
I want to throw up.
So I guess Claire Redfield was supposed to be in this movie, but the actress who they had in mind to play her dropped out before production. So
Thank God.
and then they
that
were,
would have
and
been
then
too many female protagonists.
yeah, and then they got an actress to replace her, and she then dropped out. So they just scrapped it for this movie. But Claire Redfield would eventually show up in the next film, which we will be talking about next week. Performed by, played by Final Destination's Ali Larder, which she's fine. I don't remember how she is in these movies, but I don't dislike her. The Ashfords were named after the Ashfords from the games, but unlike the Ashfords in this movie, who are kind of sympathetic characters, the Ashfords in the games are villains.
They bad. They're real bad people. The Ashfords are.
And I think we talked about last week when Alice comes out of the facility and she's walking down the desolate streets of Raccoon City, and we get the paper that says "The Dead Walk" is actually a reference to Day of the Dead, not Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. Rudy made the same comment that I did earlier.
Is it bad? My favorite character of all these movies is LJ. Is he in more? Is he in other Resident Evil movies? Oh no.
I hope he. The only consistent
no.
I love it. I love LJ. I think he's the best.
Listen, like I said before, Mike Epps is hilarious. I believe he was in the Friday films. Rudy, you would know. I think you would know. I think we've talked about the Friday movies. I've never seen him, but I know he's in a lot of those similar movies. He's hilarious. We didn't need him. But whatever. This movie sucks anyways, so I guess who cares?
I wish that I could take these movies and just slightly adjust them so they follow the TLDR of Resident Evil. In this, it could have been slightly shifted. Just ever so slightly. We understand that Alice is now the main character. We understand that Alice is the one that we are following, nobody else, because in the games it's always somebody else. It switches every other game kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if they'd kept Alice, and even with the idea that she is the perfect bioweapon, which is what the understanding is here, is that she is the perfect one. Nemesis has had his flaws. One, he couldn't act unless told to, but also he ended up breaking free and having too much free will, which bothers them as well. So if the whole movies had been shifted to them being Alice is the perfect bioweapon, but we have to figure out how to fix her brain so she stops having free will but can act on accord. If they had switched to that and then kept with the bioweapon and the tyrants and everything else that was in the games, you could have had 6 fantastic movies that maybe they wouldn't have been perfect, but you know what? They would have been great to watch rather than something like this that had no plot line other than go find this little girl.
Yep. This is such a weird fact that I just found, but I have to talk about it. During the commentary on the first film in the series, Resident Evil, Mila Jovovich refers to her nipple appearing on screen, saying that this proves her dedication to the film. Director Paul W.S. Anderson adds that had she really been committed to the project, she would have shown both nipples. In the sequel, she does show both nipples towards the end while she's in the tank. We needed to know this. The world needed to know her commitment to this movie.
You have to show your nipples to be committed.
I think it was more of a joke. He probably just said it as a joke, and she took it serious. Well, she probably just laughed it off because she doesn't care.
The 3 shirtless zombies, stripper zombies.
I think he was just talking about her specifically, but yeah.
Little skimpy thongs, and they're just like walking down the road. They must have been real dedicated to show it first thing in one movie.
Oh yeah. So let me go through all the references that are in this game, in the games, or that are in this movie that are referenced in the games. There's a shot at the end of the film of Alice's eye close up. This is a reference to the first game in the series. The close up eye shot is the logo title screen of the games. A white goddess statue can be seen in the church. Goddess statues always play a big role in the puzzles of all Biohazard or Resident Evil games. Alice kills the Lickers in the church in a bullet time effect identical to Billy killing the Leech Queen in Resident Evil 0. In the opening scene with the weather map and the ending, both mention the Arklay Mountains. This is where the mansion in the original game was located. The GameCube, there's a reference to the GameCube remake. Terry's death is recorded by her falling camera, as is Joseph's death in the intro in the remake of the original game. Alice's visit to the gun shop may be a slight reference to Resident Evil 2, in which Kendo's gun shop is one of the first locations a player visits. The helicopter that delivers Nemesis' weapon is similar in look to the helicopter that delivered Mr. X in Resident Evil 2. Angela Ashford plays a character similar to Shirley Birkin from Resident Evil 2. The sequence in which RPD members are surrounded by zombies at an intersection is taken almost shot for shot from an FMV in Resident Evil 3. The most notably similar shot is a slow zoom in on the police helmet. Well, there we go. That's why we needed that shot. The character of Jill Valentine wears the same outfit she wore in Resident Evil 3, which we knew that. Zombies also rise from their graves in Resident Evil 3. Jill also uses gas stoves to create an explosion in Resident Evil 3. Jill, Terry, Alice, and Peyton hide out in a red cable car. Jill, Carlos, Nikolai, and Mikael, I guess that was the third soldier there, the one who turns and bites Carlos, also hide out in a red cable car and use it to get to the clock tower. And in both Resident Evil 3 and the movie, Nemesis shoots down a helicopter with his rocket launcher. And then I guess there's a reference from Code Veronica, which is Alice running down the hallway while a helicopter shoots the windows, is identical to the opening cinematic in Resident Evil Code Veronica. Ashford is the name of the family that created Umbrella. Alice's superhuman abilities are similar to those exhibited by Albert Wesker, who we're going to see, I think, in the movies. Yeah, and there you go. Those are all the references to the games that were in this movie. So we had from Resident Evil 0, 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica. Where does Code Veronica sit in the... Like, where does it take place?
Code Veronica is... Because it has, not Jill Valentine, it has... Oh my goodness.
Rudy said after 3.
Yeah, it's... I can't even remember her name right now. Redfield.
Claire.
It's Chris Redfield's little sister. But anyways, yeah, it's after 3, but I do. Oh, it has both Redfields. I haven't gotten all the way through it. It's been a long time since I've played it. I now have it on what is it, Dreamcast? So I'm gonna play that. But it's your favorite in the whole series. Yay. I've heard many, many good things about it, but I think when I tried to play it the first time, I just was like, I want to replay 3 instead. But yeah. It's after. Most things come like very soon after 3. I just don't know how far after. I do believe Code Veronica is the closest to 3 in like the timeline, but I'm not sure how long. I'd have to go through that. That being said, I have to play all of those like little side off like offshoot games anyways, so.
Philly, what's going on, man? I did type hello in the chat, but I figured I'd say hello.
Wow.
Hello. All right. Do we have anything else we want to add before we get to the rankings?
I'm not ready for the rest of these.
Oh, man. Oh, all right. Well, first, we are going to rank the antagonists of the Resident Evil movies. Right now, the only ones we have are the Red Queen and Spence, I believe, which is at number 1, of course. Who should we put as the antagonist? Kane and Nemesis? Should we even put Nemesis in there because he becomes a good guy at the end?
Put Nemesis because Nemesis is the way that I see it is he's just a utility. He's more of just like a weapon until he changes in the movie.
Yeah.
So I would say it would be Kane and the other doctor.
Yeah, what was his name?
I don't know. No idea.
Doctor.
Oh,
Guy.
Dr. Isaacs.
Ah, okay. So yeah, I would say both of them.
Okay. So so are they better than Spence and the Red Queen?
I would place Doctor above Spence, but below the Red Queen, and I would put Kane.
So what we're gonna do for these rankings is we're going to rank them together. So both the doctors together compared to. So we're just gonna do like, because it just gets confusing for me trying to figure out the list. So we're just gonna do them lumped up together. So Spence and the Red Queen are together for RE1, and then these two will be clumped together for this movie. So are these two doctors better? I shouldn't say better. Are they, would you rank them higher than Spence and the Red Queen?
Overall, no.
Okay.
Nemesis?
Even though I do think this movie is better than the first one, I gotta say that the Red Queen and Spence are, to me, it's like the Red Queen is like the big picture of these movies and the Hive and everything. So I'm gonna have to go with them as staying at number 1.
Yeah, I'll have to agree. I thought Kane was just a generic, like, ooh, I'm an evil scientist type guy. And yeah, I didn't like him very much. I liked the Red Queen, more the Red Queen than I liked Spence. Spence was kind of he did help create, he helped start all this. So I guess I would rank him higher. But yeah, we're going to keep the Red Queen and Spence at number 1. And we'll put Kane. I gotta jot these down, because if I don't, we're gonna get to like 2 weeks from now, and I'm gonna have no goddamn clue what the fuck we're talking about.
I'm not gonna have any idea what we're talking about once we get there, anyways, because my brain is gonna go into fever dream mode and be like, I have forgotten this now.
So happy
Spence.
I don't have to deal with Ford for a while.
Lucky.
Red. Oh my god. I watched the third one right after the second one just to get it out of the way, because I'm like, I don't want to do this. But I also didn't.
It's a mistake.
I also didn't want to lose I didn't want to lose out on some of the great story. So I needed to make sure I was on the right track.
Because they're so connected.
Oh yeah, so
you definitely can't just watch them individually and understand what's going on.
Right. I think my eyes were bleeding.
Okay, now we're gonna rank the Alices of the movie, because she changes, as you know, throughout the franchise. So we figured we would rank the different Alices from every movie. So of course, Alice from Resident Evil is at number 1. Where does Alice from Apocalypse go above or below Alice from 1?
I'd say Apocalypse Alice goes first, because like it's not so much that like she's become the superhuman. If you ignore that part, from between 1 and 2, she has gotten to the point where rather than just like in the beginning she was more save herself in number 1, and then by the end she remembered who she was and she was like, well, I want to save people, I want to be a good person, but like it was already too late for her to be a decent person.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, her first goal was like, okay, well, you're helping me, so I will help you. And like she's just far more I guess copacetic to work with in this one as opposed to the other one where she was like throwing a hissy fit half the time.
All right, so we have one for Apocalypse Alice. Nemesis.
I'm gonna have to say Apocalypse also. I think in the first one she kind of annoyed me because she was. I understand what they were trying to like create the story with her, but she was just kind of like a wimp until she found out she could jump off walls and kick things. I didn't really. She kind of her character in the first one kind of bored me. It was the other people that were exciting. Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
She was just like the whole movie. She was just like, "What is going on? Who am I?
Yep.
Why can I kick and do backflips and weird things?" I didn't enjoy it.
Okay. I'm going to vote for Apocalypse Alice. She's just more badass. Even though she had like weird superhuman abilities, she seemed more comfortable doing what she was doing. She was in control. And then, you know, when she, you know, is pretty much telling the doctor to go fuck off, you know, that she's not going to fight Nemesis anymore. 'Cause even before she figures out it's Matt, like I just like her character development in this movie. She was just, yeah, the last one was her, you know, just trying to figure out who the hell she is. She wasn't as exciting. So yeah, I'm putting Apocalypse Alice over RE Alice. And our final ranking is going to be well, actually, I don't think we did a ranking on the zombies because it doesn't matter. There's so many different things. We're just going to do rankings of the movies. So right now we have Resident Evil at number 1, and that's it. So where does Resident Evil Apocalypse go?
I'm still gonna stand by that the story in Resident Evil 1, it hits far more boxes for me than Resident Evil 2. It follows closer. It's still a pretty far away goal, but it follows closer to the games. It has a little bit more references, and it almost feels like it's an addition to the games. It almost feels that way because they show you a bunch of the Hive and stuff like that.
Right.
And so like movie-wise, I still do prefer 1 over 2.
Okay.
Because 2 just started kind of like going off the rails.
It's just so much happening. All right, so we have 1 for Resident Evil. Nemesis, where are you putting this?
Well, Piggy knows more about the game, so that's her take. But for me, I'm gonna have to go with 2 because I think they're both horrible, but at least 2 kind of kept me awake a little bit more. And I mean a little bit, like minuscule. But the first one to me was just I barely even got through it. The second one, at least explosions and stupid grenades and stuff like that were going off. That and Nemesis was cool. I like that addition. Gave us another zombie to look at. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with 2.
It's close for me. They're both, I feel, almost equally bad. But I'm going to give the edge to Apocalypse. I had more fun watching this, and when I say I had more fun watching this, I didn't mean I actually had fun watching this, but I didn't hate myself as much watching this movie. There were like I said, we were talking about Alice. Like Alice was more of a badass in this movie. Nemesis was cool, especially him being practical effects and it wasn't some shitty CGI. The CGI actually was better, especially with the fight. You know, when she fights the Lickers look cooler. And other than that, like that was pretty much the primary reason why I like this movie more. Just a lot of bad characters, but it's a very slim, like I don't like this movie like it's not much of a difference between this and the first Resident Evil.
I wish when we said that it was like the other end of the spectrum, like they were so good that we don't know which ones. But no, it's like they're both horrible. I don't know which one sucks more.
They're both bad movies. But I'm gonna give the slight edge to Resident Evil Apocalypse. So since it is a 2-1 vote, the Resident Evil ranking so far will be number 1 Resident Evil Apocalypse and number 2 Resident Evil 2002. Next week, it'll just be me and Piggy dissecting, reviewing, and ranking Resident Evil Extinction. Oh, this is the last Resident Evil movie I remember watching because I did not watch the other 3. So this is going to be an interesting experience. I think the last time I watched Extinction was the year it came out, which was 2007.
I just want you guys to know
a long time
that
ago.
This is the last Resident Evil movie that's above a 6. The rest are in the 5s. So yeah, just enjoy
these
it.
are the ones who were voted for over a 5.
Yep. The first 3 are the only ones that are over a 5. Or over a 6. Over a 6, I mean.
I have made the right choice of never watching them.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I think the second and third one are both 6.2, and the first one was 6.7, which is really high.
So I think they're rated the best, even on Metacritic. I think it's rated the best Resident Evil. Yeah, Resident Evil. Yeah,
they're like 5.4, 5.2.
This one got a 6 point. Extinction got a 6.2 with a 41 Metacritic score. But yeah, this is the last one I remember watching. Yeah. This one had a wait.
So my dad and I went and saw 1 in theaters. I do believe we went and saw 2 in theaters. And at the end, we were both so mad that they made Alice psychic that we did not watch 3 in theaters. We waited till it came out in a rental store.
Yeah.
And we went and rented it.
Yeah.
And
that scene really threw me off. Like, what was that all about? Did they get bored with the script? So they're like, we got to give her some like crazy powers where she could just look at cameras and people's head explodes.
They didn't like the reason they added it is because they wanted her to be the perfect bioweapon. And what better way to have a perfect bioweapon than somebody who's psychic and can make your brain explode, which would make zombies completely null and void. They definitely didn't think that through.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, let's make her psychic, and then she makes this dude's brain explode or boil over or whatever. And like that would mean that the rest of the entire series is completely and totally useless. Because if she can make someone's brain just in their head, what use is a zombie or anything else at all? Yeah. What use is that? Which is something that I know for a fact we will be discussing more.
Yep.
Because I know why I hate the other 3 movies. I've never seen them. I know why I hate them.
Yes. This is going to be a very interesting 4 weeks coming up. Like we said, Nemesis won't be here next week for Extinction. So it'll just be me and Piggy just lambasting this movie because it's probably not good.
On the inside.
But I'm not happy I won't be here. I'm just happy I don't have to talk about another garbage pile.
I can't blame you. I can't blame you for that.
Nemesis thinks that this is gonna be the last time we ever do a series that has bad movies. He does realize we have to do Transformers movies at some point in this series.
No, I'm okay with. See,
no, you're not.
No, the thing is I don't mind bad movies if they're entertaining. Where these are just not really entertaining me either. So I'm bored while watching a bad movie. Like there's some bad, like I've watched some movies. I'm not saying that they're good movies, but at least they keep me entertained. Like either I laugh at it 'cause it's so bad, or but this is like I'm like my eyes are just bleeding while I'm watching these.
That's part of why, like, I
Haven't gotten past 3.
actually I liked the first one is because, like, it is entertaining to me. It's a bad movie. I'm never gonna be like, yeah, Resident Evil, especially the first one, great movie. You should go watch it. It'll definitely make you feel great for watching it. No. You want a good movie that's gonna make you feel good because you watched it? Go watch Aliens. Like,
Oh, God, that's so, yeah,
I love Aliens.
that's so good. So
And
good.
it's like, even now, that movie is fantastic.
Oh, holds up so well. Even
Like,
Alien.
even Tremors. Yeah. And Tremors, like, Tremors is also one of those movies that's like, it started going the way of being so bad it's good, but then it was like, no, we meant to be this way. And so, like, it kind of just looped back around to being
They just don't care
good.
anymore.
Yeah.
When a movie
And
is
then
purposely being bad, like they know that it's going to be bad, but they're like, you're still going to have fun. Those are fine.
Yeah.
But when you're taking them, when you're trying to make a serious movie, you're trying to make it where it's not bad, but it turns out bad. Those are like, they're hard to watch because you're like, I know they tried to do something here, but it's just not good.
And that's where it is for the rest of these. So, like,
Right.
I agree, but at least the first one, like, the love in my heart is keeping me going, but I've told several of my friends that I'm watching the entirety of the Resident Evil movies to, like, be able to talk with you guys, and they're just like, "You're a good friend. You're such a good friend." Like, it's like,
I asked Piggy a few weeks ago if she wanted to be on the show to talk about the Resident Evil movies, and she said yes, and she didn't know what she was getting herself into.
I knew, but I also forewarned you that I've never watched past 3. I've never seen past number 3. 3 was the last one I ever saw, and just like 2, I have seen it once. So now this will be my second time. It's all for you, Parker.
Thank you for being on this journey with me. So before the show becomes a 3-hour thing, so today's episode was recorded live on Monday. Next week, or we will be back on Sundays going forward. The only reason we did that is because me and Nemesis were not in any shape or form able to do a show last night. No way. I don't even remember last night. There you go, guys. You get a nice insight of what my 4th was like.
I made it to bed. that is all I care about. I woke up in my bed.
So we recorded today. The show will be on podcast services tomorrow, but next week will be live Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then the show will go up on Monday morning on podcast services. So we'll be back on our normal track. So yeah, I try to be consistent, but we got to make sure like everybody can do it. If something comes up, we got to work around it. It's just how it works. Everybody has their own lives, so we have to try to figure out the best way of going about it. But like we said, Nemesis is going on vacation, and he better bring me something cool back from where he's going, or I'm going to be very upset. So me and Piggy will be talking.
Bring you back a new car.
What? So me and Piggy will be talking about Resident Evil Extinction next Sunday. And then hopefully Nemesis will be back for Resident Evil Afterlife, which is the Sunday after that. But we'll see.
The best one. So good.
I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank you for everybody who watches the show live. If you don't watch the show live, thank you for downloading it on podcast services. We did hit over 100 downloads on the show. We're going to be trying to get the show out there for people to see so we can get more people, to interact with it. Having a lot of fun with it and can't wait to keep going. So thank you. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.